Hello and welcome to Raider HQ After Dark. I'm your host Raider, and in this video we're going to be doing the November 1st live stream Q&A answer follow-up part 2. And I would like to say thank you to Jeff for doing this background. I think this is hilarious. It's kind of got a John Wick in the rain thing. So I just thought I'd show it off. But let's go ahead and transition into the questions. And in the last video, we ended off on question, I want to say question 15. Technically, I mean, just number 15. So we're going to move on to Navy CIC. Now, their question is, who has the burden of proof regarding normal age progression, the VA or the veteran? This isn't the actual right question to ask on this. The examiner has the determination as to whether or not age progression is where your condition is. So you can say what you want, but the examiner will be the tiebreaker on that. So that's not something that the VA itself, like the rater, can weigh in on, and it's not something that the veteran can weigh in on. It will be decided exclusively by the examiner. And then we go to the next question. Rater, my dad is rated 90% but has TDIU. If he has TDIU for 10 years, will it be the same as having 100%? So will my mom receive DIC payments when he passes? The answer to that, okay, so I'm going to tell you, I don't know. It'll depend on who's rating it. I would personally consider TDIU, being total and permanent for that long, but it'll come up to the rater's interpretation. So is it better just to get your dad to 100%? Yes. A natural 100%. However, TDIU won't be the factor. It'll be based upon, like, if your father passes due to a service-connected disability, then your mom gets DIC automatically, no matter how long it's been. He could have been rated for the condition 10 days ago. So oftentimes what happens is veterans will put in for basically service connection for things that they think that they may pass away from, just so that way they don't really have to monkey around with DIC and whether or not the rater does or does not, have the same interpretation of the TDIU rules or something like that. So I know that that's not the best answer in the world, but it's the only answer that I currently have for that one. Okay. And next question. I recently had an HLR. I used your theory for medication and for mental health and was granted sleep apnea, which was previously denied. The medication and supporting literature was included in my medical opinion. Thank you. Okay, so it's not really a question, but congrats. And look, I want to say this to everybody. I did not get you that 100%. You got you that 100%. Your evidence got you that 100%. I just opened your mind to a different way to frame things, to frame your evidence, that based upon how I've seen it to be granted beforehand and have high likelihoods of success. But that medical doctor is who determined that you got, service connected for it. But I'm happy that you did. So next question. Question from a prior live stream about getting rated in October. That's what's the likelihood of losing my rating due to quality control not being done? This is kind of a complex question. So what's going to be happening is that QRT is going to go back and they're going to just rate, they're going to do quality reviews based upon, claims during October. So statistically, you have the statistic of, will your claim be one of the ones pulled for quality review? We don't know. Statistically unlikely, but it's still there. Then we have to look at the statistics of, if your claim is reviewed for quality review, what is the likelihood that somebody screwed up, right? So, I mean, the potential for you losing your benefit is statistically low. It's not impossible, but it is statistically low. So I wouldn't overtly worry about it on a day-to-day basis. I would just, once January hits, if you haven't heard anything, then the likelihood is that everything it should be okay. All right. um Eleti boy, okay. I disagree with my rating decision. I filed for an increase instead of a supplemental claim per your tips in the supplemental video. In my 4138, do I directly ask for 38 CFR 3.400 to be considered? Um, that is not the way that you should ask that, because for an increase claim, 3.400 is the only CFR that can be utilized to determine your effective date. Now, if you're talking about the thing that I would use my 4138 for is if within the last year you actually had a change in your condition that can be documented in your service records, and that change of condition can cause you to have the next higher level. So, like, let's say that you had I'm going to use an extreme here, but like, let's say you had a car accident or something like that, or you fell down the stairs and your knee now doesn't move the right way after it, right? And you can trace that I went to the ER on this date for this specific worsening of my condition, or they prescribed me a new medication on this date within a year. Then you need to speak about that change in circumstance, what day it happened, point to the evidence, get the crayons out, and help draw them a picture of where it is. They can use that change in evidence, change in circumstance, or that situation to give you an earlier effective date, 1 year prior to either the date of claim or intent to file. But, and now this is important, the actual event that the change happened, number one, has to be distinguishable. And that specific change had to occur within 1 year prior to the date of claim or the intent to file date for it to count. If your change in circumstances happened 2 years ago, then that will not count under 38 CFR 3.400 to give you the earlier effective date. The actual change has to happen within a year prior to your claim. So that's what I would use my 4138 for, because telling them to use 3.400 is like telling them to rate the claim. They're already going to use it. So it would be the date the evidence showed a change in circumstance. That's how I might write it. Next, core 473. How do TERA memorandums work? I have two different info. One says burn pits, but the other, but I was never exposed to that. Does that claim get its own memorandum, or are older memorandums used in current claims? Okay, so here's how the TERA memorandum works, and this is going to be a criminal simplification of the process. So do not come at me. What happens is you file a claim in which something qualifies for the potential theory for service connection for TERA, toxic exposure risk activities. What happens is the VSR pulls the ILA report to see if you have one. If you do, then they upload it. Then they will fill out a TERA memorandum, which is like a 6-question thing, document that basically has a bunch of check boxes on it, yes and no's. And if you have one yes on that thing, on that document, then we have to consider the TERA theory for service connection. The TERA memorandum can be updated by the VSR, by the rater, and it's oftentimes updated because it's inaccurate or just to get points, because the different groups get like 0.62 for it or 0.70 points for redoing or doing a TERA memorandum. So there's value added to doing it. So what can happen is somebody could write down burn pits on your set of circumstances. And you might disagree with that, but technically you might have deployed to a place where burn pits are qualified under the VBA, so I wouldn't discount it. But The memorandum is a living document that lives on until somebody does a new one. Once they do a new one, then the old ones are considered not to be usable, and you have to update it again if you want to change it again. So the most recent version of it is the one that gets utilized. I hope that that answers your question, and how you were asking it. Asterisk. What is an appointment for a medical opinion request? And says, I do not need to be present. So, okay. What this is they want a medical opinion. So you're trying to service connect something. Likely, when this scenario happens, likely what happened is you filed a claim, they got you an exam and a medical opinion, and you were denied for the thing that you claimed. The rater sent back or deferred back for under the duty to assist to try to find any other theory that could be applied, that could be granted for, like TERA, let's say. And what they do is because you've completed the DBQ, the only thing that they need to do is ask the doctor, hey, look, could you use this DBQ and just see if TERA could be the cause of this? And that's why you don't need to be present, is because the examiner already has your DBQ completed. They just need to see, okay, what's the diagnosis again? Okay, what TERA was he exposed to? Let me do a literature review and see if that's even likely or possible. And then they come back with it. So that's basically what it is. I'm a big fan of whenever I request examinations that I will request every single examination that you humanly can. I recommend to every VSR that you front load every single theory that could potentially apply to the veteran and not just do one at a time. So that way, all the theories can be, adjudicated or at least reviewed for. So that way, whenever it gets to the rater, they don't have to defer back and waste 30 additional days. But that's just me. All right, then. So grateful always. If PNT recently, wait, if, okay. If I was made PNT recently and taking ChampVA for spouse, should you wait 90 days after the shutdown is over before putting in ChampVA? No, I wouldn't wait. So here's why: is because circumstances may vary, but my ChampVA took a long, long time. So it could take a long, long time for your ChampVA to go through. It could go through relatively easily. I say never wait on something, on a slim possibility of something changing. Just go ahead and do it. That's my advice. Amaranth. I went to a CMP exam yesterday for allergic rhinitis and sinusitis. The examiner just asked about my symptoms, didn't do much of an exam. Both conditions were diagnosed in service STRs. This why. Okay. So basically, allergic rhinitis doesn't, like, for the rating, 0% is having the diagnosis and any other symptom. 10% is you have obstruction of some or both of your nasal passages. 30% is you have nasal polyps. They should have looked for nasal polyps. Sinusitis has to do with a lot of subjective symptoms coupled with frequency. So, do you have incapacitating episodes, 6 or more, or between 3 and 6? And do you have pain in your sinuses type area? Do you have headaches? Do you have crusting or purulent discharge? Well, it doesn't take long to get to kind of tease those answers out of you. There's no big long kind of test for these. They don't require any diagnostic imaging other than sinusitis uh, confirmed via X-ray. But if you already have that of record, there's no real testing. It's not like a range of motion test. So having these two have a quick exam is fairly normal. You'll see the same with like sleep apnea. Because sleep apnea is determined via a sleep study, the fact that you have it is kind of conceded. They don't really need to talk to you about it. And the way that sleep apnea is confirmed, you have to have it in your STRs, which is almost non-existent, by the way. That's almost never happens. But yeah, so this is fine. I wouldn't look at this particular exam that you had and go, darn it, they're going to just fail me out, because they're quick by nature. Now, could they fail you out? Could they say no? Yes, but the how fast they went and how little they examined is fairly normal. Shattered dreams. Any news on the mental health changes in December? No. And I wouldn't say December. I would just say the mental health changes that are projected in the future, because until they give us a hard date, I don't even like speculating about it. Just because, like, it's like those people that say, like, hey, the end of the world's going to be on January the 4th, and they're always wrong, but they keep putting out new information. No, I misspoke. The end of the world's going to be February 2nd. And you'll see, like, a lot of YouTubers put out videos about these changes, but guess what? I don't want to cry wolf on this until it's time. Like, until I see a wolf, I'm not crying wolf on this. So until they do, this is not true until they give us a hard time. And I don't want to speculate, because they could make 1,000 changes to what they propose between now and the time that they actually lock it in. So I would say watch YouTube, because YouTube will catch fire when these changes start to go through. Every single veteran-centric claims processing type YouTuber will let you know. Okay, like, there will be no misunderstanding this. This will come hard and fast, like when they give us a hard time. So I'd wait for that before I even start thinking about it. I wouldn't even worry about it, because there's no way to guarantee anything. Justin, TJ, what about SMC S1 from IU at 70% PTSD? Think it's a target? I don't know what the context on this is, so I will just speak about this. So IU is kind of funny. If you claim a bunch of things for IU, like, let's say you claim PTSD, your back, your knees, your legs, they all cause you problems and you can't work because of them. Once your 70% or whatever your percentage is at gets elevated to 100%, you are not qualified for SMCS1 unless you have a natural one condition that is at 100%. However, if you should claim IU due to PTSD alone, and they artificially increase PTSD from 70% to 100%, and you have the other conditions that when combined are 60% or more, then IU for PTSD could in fact qualify you for SMCS1. So that's currently the issue, right? Like, that's currently something that, like, based upon the way you said this question, that's one way I could interpret it, is you wanted to know that factoid. Now, the other one is, if we're talking about, like, Lieutenant Dan and kind of, well, I don't even think you're talking about that, but I'll just go with it. Let's say, like, IU is targeted, then SMC, like, they could actually do a lot of damage to veterans ratings if they targeted IU, because there are quite a few veterans who have that single disability that made them have IU, and they get that extra SMCS1 money. So it would kill a lot of birds with one stone, is kind of where I'm going with it. So I don't know what the context is, so I just answered it two different ways. So I hope that helps. Lee Forbes. Okay. Good evening, Raider. I just got a decision letter that has pushed me to 100%. My question is regarding adding my wife as a dependent. Do I need to put... No, you don't. No. Okay, let me read this. Do I need to put in an intent to file first? The answer is no, Lee. You should put your wife in today. You should have put your wife in yesterday, because there's no back pay on the family members. It's the day that you do the 676C or whatever it is. I don't remember the form. 686C, I think it is. I don't know. I'm going to Google it really quick. VA dependence. It's a 686C. So VA Form 21-686C. You need to do that today, as soon as humanly possible, because unfortunately, because your wife was not on the award when they issued it, you probably will not get back pay to include your spouse on there. They'll just do it from the time after that. Moving on. Let's see where we at. We're at 20 minutes, so that's okay. And I might just do 30 on this and then push out a different video. All right. When you get a CMP exam, how long does the examiner have to return it to the VA? What? To the VA to finish the claim. It's been 10 weeks and still waiting for them to return results. 10 weeks is too long. It should be 14 days. They have a 14-day Q&A period. So I think something's wrong. So I would actually go through and contact someone and just do an inquiry and see what's going on. Ask them about what the tracked items say. What are we waiting on? Because it might not be the exam. They could be doing reworks on it. They could be waiting for other evidence. There could be an IT ticket in because there's an IT issue with the claim. I'd want to figure it out. So I would on Monday call and just have them, if it hasn't already resolved, because it's been almost 22 days since this video aired. So I'm hoping that it resolved. Shattered Dreams again. Nope, they did it twice. Okay, so it's crazy. Can you claim a secondary to a secondary? Yes. Yes, there is no limit to that. Uh-oh, and my dogs are going to go off here in a second. So there is no limit to that. You can daisy chain as long as the secondary becomes service connected, then that will be a primary for your new secondary. So just keep that in mind. My family just got home, so my dogs are going to go nuts. So I'm going to end the video early. Thank you all for watching. I'm going to put out another video today here in just a little bit, maybe in a few hours, answering like 15 to 30 more of these. Okay. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Raider out.